Have you ever stopped to think about your own freedom? Do you believe that your choices, beliefs, and even your dreams are truly yours? Or could it be that, from the moment you were born, everything was carefully manipulated to make you think in a specific way? Who is behind the decisions that shape the world? And what do they gain by keeping us under control? Imagine a world where nothing happens by chance. What you consume, what you watch, the rules you follow, and the battles you choose to fight. There is an invisible force guiding every step, influencing our lives without us even realizing it. These "they" don't appear, they don't reveal themselves, but they are everywhere, controlling governments, shaping narratives, and distracting us with false choices. Today, we will explore the shadows of this system. Who are they? How do they operate? And most importantly, why is it so essential that you remain blind to all of this? Get ready to question what you think you know, because the truth is often more disturbing than the lies we were taught to believe. Before we start, I'd like you to subscribe to the channel. This helps me a lot to keep producing videos like this. Did you subscribe? Let's get into the video. Manipulation begins in childhood. From the moment we are born, we are introduced to a world that already has pre-established rules, values, and narratives. The first agents of this manipulation are often those we trust the most, our family. They, in turn, were also shaped by a system that perpetuates limiting beliefs and behavioral patterns. Without realizing it, they pass on worldviews that do not encourage questioning, but rather conformity. Phrases like, "This is how the world works," or "Don't question the rules," become part of our subconscious from an early age. School, which should be a place for learning and critical development, also plays a fundamental role in the manipulation process. The educational model we know was created during the Industrial Revolution with the goal of training obedient workers, not free thinkers. From childhood, we are trained to follow strict schedules, obey authority figures, and accept information as absolute truths. Creativity, critical thinking, and the ability to question are discouraged. What matters is following the system, getting good grades, and fitting into the mold. Beyond the educational system, children's media also exerts powerful influence. From cartoons to TV shows and movies, we are exposed to subliminal messages that reinforce social roles and behavior patterns. Princesses needing to be rescued, heroes who only win through violence, or products that promise happiness are just a few examples. Children learn from an early age that they must fit into certain stereotypes to be accepted and valued by society. Religious institutions also play a significant role in shaping a child's mentality. While they often promote ethical and moral values, they can also reinforce fear and submission. Concepts like divine punishment or the need for blind obedience shape children's behavior, preventing them from questioning authority or exploring spirituality freely. The fear of making mistakes or thinking differently becomes a barrier that follows them into adulthood. Another crucial aspect is how toys and advertisements directed at children help solidify this manipulation. Toys that reinforce gender roles, such as dolls for girls and cars for boys, or commercials that create the false idea that having is more important than being, serve as tools to shape consumer behavior and perpetuate social divisions. Children grow up believing they need to buy things to be happy or to fit in, fostering a dependent mindset. The very structure of society reinforces the idea of competition from an early age. In school, we are encouraged to compete for grades and recognition instead of cooperating and learning together. This creates a scarcity mindset. where we believe that someone else's success necessarily means another's loss. This thought process, implanted in childhood, follows us throughout life, shaping how we interact with others and perceive the world. Moreover, we are conditioned to accept hierarchies as something natural and unquestionable. From an early age, we learn to respect authority figures, teachers, parents, religious leaders, without questioning their motivations or decisions. This conditioning makes us more susceptible to accepting orders and rules imposed by governments, corporations, and other institutions in adulthood, without stopping to reflect on their consequences. Childhood, therefore, is not just a phase of innocence, but also of profound conditioning. Everything around us, family, school, media, religion, works to shape our worldview and prepare us to live within a controlled system. It is a subtle, almost invisible process, yet extremely effective. As we grow, we carry these beliefs and behaviors as if they were natural, without realizing that many were implanted by a system designed to keep us obedient, consumerist, and dependent. The role of the media in mass manipulation. The media is one of the most powerful tools of mass manipulation. Whether through television, radio, newspapers, or social media, it shapes how we perceive the world, how we react to events, and even what we consider important or irrelevant. Instead of merely informing, the media often selects which stories to tell, how to tell them, and most importantly, what to leave out. In this way, it creates narratives that guide our perception of reality. A clear example is how news is presented. Tragedies and crises usually dominate the headlines, creating a constant sense of fear and insecurity. This state of alertness makes us more susceptible to accepting quick and often authoritarian solutions. After all, when we are afraid, we seek protection. Governments and corporations know this and use the media to manipulate public opinion, influencing our decisions and behaviors. Entertainment programs also play a crucial role. Movies, TV series, and shows frequently reinforce specific values and ideologies. Behind seemingly innocent stories, there are often subliminal messages that shape beliefs, behaviors, and even our desires. Think about the ideals of beauty, success, and happiness we constantly see in the media. They create nearly unattainable standards, leading us to consume products and services in an attempt to reach them. Advertising is another major mechanism of manipulation. Ads don't just sell products, they sell ideas. They convince us that we need things that are often unnecessary. Through psychological strategies, advertisers exploit our insecurities, desires, and fears to drive us to buy. We are conditioned to believe that consumption is the path to happiness when, in reality, it only traps us in an endless cycle of dissatisfaction and dependency. With the advent of social media, manipulation has become even more sophisticated. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter use algorithms that filter what we see based on our interests and online behaviors. This creates information bubbles where we are exposed only to content that reinforces our existing beliefs. This strategy not only limits our worldview, but also makes us more polarized and consequently more manipulable. Finally, the media does not act alone. It is controlled by large corporations and political interests that decide which narratives will be promoted and which will be silenced. While we are distracted by celebrities, scandals, or viral memes, the real decisions that impact our lives are made behind the scenes. Instead of informing, the media becomes a tool to keep the masses distracted and under control. This combination of misinformation, entertainment, and emotional manipulation makes it a central piece in the system of domination we live in. Governments and the illusion of control. Governments are often presented as institutions created to protect, organize, and represent the interests of the people. However, this is merely the surface. At their core, governments are one of the most powerful pillars in the structure of mass manipulation. They make us believe we have a choice through elections and democracy, but in practice, political systems are largely controlled by the interests of economic elites and corporations operating behind the scenes. The real question is, who truly holds the power? The illusion of control begins with political polarization. Left versus right, conservatives versus progressives. The political system is designed to divide the masses. While the population engages in heated ideological debates, the rulers and those who control them continue executing agendas that benefit a powerful minority. This division is essential because a united people would pose a real threat to the system. But when we are busy fighting among ourselves, we forget to question those who are truly in power. Another form of manipulation is the use of crises as tools to justify extreme measures. Wars, pandemics, economic recessions, all these situations are exploited to expand control over the population. Surveillance laws, tax increases, restrictions on individual freedoms, all are introduced under the justification of protecting the people. However, once these measures are implemented, they are rarely reversed. Thus, governments gradually accumulate more power while citizens lose their autonomy. Furthermore, the bureaucracy and legal systems created by governments often function more to confuse and limit than to help. The complexity of laws, regulations, and taxes keeps people busy and dependent on the system. Meanwhile, those at the top of the political and economic hierarchy find ways to bypass these rules or even shape them to their advantage. The result is a society where justice and equality are merely concepts, not realities. Behind all of this, many governments do not act independently. They are subordinated to supranational organizations, multinational corporations, and global financial institutions that truly dictate the rules of the game. These groups use governments as tools to implement their agendas, while the average citizen is led to believe their needs are being met. In the end, government control is just one part of a larger scheme designed to keep people submissive, divided, and distracted from the truth. The big question. We arrive at the crucial point of this journey. Why do they do this? What is the true purpose behind so much manipulation and control? For many, the answer may seem obvious: money and power. Indeed, these two factors are clear motivators. But do they explain everything? Could the relentless pursuit of absolute control conceal something even deeper? Some theories suggest that manipulation goes beyond the material realm. It is not just about governing territories, dictating laws, or accumulating wealth. It is a matter of mental, emotional, and even spiritual control. When a society is immersed in fear, hatred, competition, or ignorance, it becomes easier to control. In low emotional states such as anxiety or anger, people cannot access their full potential. The real objective, then, may be to keep the masses disconnected from themselves, their essence, and a greater truth. Additionally, there is the possibility that manipulation has a darker and more hidden purpose. Some scholars and philosophers believe that by keeping people occupied with distractions and conflicts, they prevent humanity from awakening to its true potential for transformation. Human potential is limitless, but when we are trapped in cycles of fear and conformity, we never reach the level of consciousness needed to challenge the system. This intentional blockage would be a way to prevent changes that could destabilize those in power. Ultimately, the big question is not just why they do this, but what we can do to free ourselves. Recognizing the system is the first step. Understanding how we are manipulated allows us to begin untying the knots that bind us. Awakening does not happen overnight, but it begins with questioning. Who are we really? How far does our potential go? By seeking answers to these questions, we stop being mere pieces in the game and start becoming conscious players, capable of changing the reality around us. Final thoughts. Now that you have come this far, the choice is in your hands. You can continue living on autopilot, accepting the truths imposed on you since childhood, or you can start questioning, investigating, and seeking your own truth. The system we live in depends on our conformity, on our passive acceptance. But when you open your eyes, you begin to realize that there is an alternative path, a way of existing that is not defined by the rules they created. The first step to this liberation is simple but profound. Question everything. Why do you believe what you believe? Who is behind the information you consume? Are your choices truly yours, or were they carefully shaped for you to believe they are? By asking these questions, you already begin to weaken the invisible chains that hold you back. In the end, remember, true revolution does not begin outside, but within each of us. When we become aware of our manipulation, we reclaim our power. And a conscious individual who thinks for themselves is their greatest threat. Because when one person breaks free, they inspire others to do the same. And so a new path can be forged, a path of truth, freedom, and awareness. What will you do from now on? The decision is yours.